Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. My goal is to bring you the latest news. As you know, a deal has been struck on the bipartisan infrastructure package that was proposed to President Biden. In fact, I'll give you some brand new information that has just emerged. On your screen, you'll see a tweet from Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. The unspent unemployment benefits are expected to be among the funding used to pay for the infrastructure package in the bipartisan agreement. Now, we don't have the exact details. However, as you can see, Jeff Stein from the Washington Post reported that the White House has indeed confirmed that this is in the bipartisan agreement. However, we don't have the exact details. It appears that the $12 billion in unemployment benefits funds that was supposed to be set aside for the $300 a week, which essentially were not used because 25 Republican states all over the country have decided to prematurely end the unemployment benefits. This $12 billion is going to make its way into the infrastructure plan. Now, a lot of things are happening in DC. Here's a quote from President Biden. Mitt Romney's never broken his word to me when he was asked why he trusts the Republican negotiators. The president said this, they don't agree on much, but I quote, I trust them. And Caitlin Collins from CNN quotes President Biden here. The people I was with today are people that I trust, President Biden said about the bipartisan group. And he said Senator Mitt Romney has never broken his word to him. He said, I quote, I don't agree with them on a lot of things, but I trust them when they say this is a deal. Very encouraging, folks. Here's a tweet on your screen from The Hill. President Biden said this, we've all agreed that none of us got all that we wanted. That is what the president told reporters while announcing the bipartisan infrastructure package. He said, I quote, I clearly didn't get all I wanted. Let's show you this headline of an article from The Hill. President Biden announces bipartisan deal on infrastructure. So we'll give you a link to this article and all of our resources in the description section below. So make sure you check out the description section because you'll get all the references to this content. Now, one individual who I believe forced President Biden's hand, essentially forced President Biden to the negotiating table with the Republicans is the one and only conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Joe Manchin. In fact, here's a headline of an article on your screen from the Washington Post. Joe Manchin is about to extract his pound of flesh. Here's what Biden must do now. The bottom line is this. Joe Manchin's vote is going to be needed, and without his vote, the president had no choice but to negotiate with the Republicans, which is exactly what the president did. Now, let's take a look at Senator Kristen Sinema, the Democrat from Arizona. She said, we all gave some to get some because what we did was put first the needs of our country. Let's roll the tape and hear from Senator Kristen Sinema. Let's watch.
You know, there are many who say that bipartisanship is dead in Washington, D.C. and across this country. But this historic agreement today between Republicans and Democrats in the Senate and with the President of the United States shows that when a group of people who are committed with shared values to solving the problems and challenges our country faces, we can use bipartisanship to solve these challenges. As Rob said, and as the President said, no one got everything they wanted in this package. We all gave some to get some because what we did was put first the needs of our country. This does represent a historic investment in our country's infrastructure, and it meets the needs of folks who live from Virginia out to Arizona. It invests in green energy and climate, recognizing the changing nature of our country and our future. It invests in broadband, in our power grid, in our structures. And we are delighted to go back to the Hill and begin earning more support from both Republicans and Democrats to get this bill across the finish line.
Now let's shift gears to the Republican senator from Utah, Mitt Romney. He said this, I quote, it's been years and years people have been talking about the infrastructure needs of our country. We know that. We recognize the crumbling infrastructure, and this group came together and actually got the job done. So yes, folks, this is good news. This is encouraging. Let's roll the tape and hear from Mitt Romney.
I just say, look, this is a great group of people here. One of the big surprises I had coming to Washington was the sense that while everybody was fighting with each other, you know what, we get along really well. This group gets along very well. My colleagues in the Senate, we work together. And it's been years and years people have been talking about the infrastructure needs of our country. We know that. We recognize the crumbling infrastructure. And this group came together and actually got a job done. I don't know how far it's going to get. I think it'll get all the way. We got the president behind it, this group here. But we're going to keep working together. We're not finished. We got other projects to take on. But America works, the Senate works, and we can work together.
Shifting gears back to Jeff Stein from the Washington Post. Now, a lot of liberals have been complaining that there's not enough done for climate in this infrastructure deal. Now, folks, there is some stuff done for climate. It's not zero, but at the same time, it's not what the liberals want. Jeff Stein points out some key climate-related provisions in the deal. $7.5 billion for EV stations, electric vehicle stations. $7.5 billion for electric buses. $21 billion for environmental remediation, meaning changes in the way we protect our environment. $73 billion for power infrastructure. This, I feel, is absolutely crucial because we don't want other countries trying to penetrate our electrical grid, which has happened in the past. $47 billion for resilience. I'm assuming that has a lot to do with cybersecurity, that has a lot to do with artificial intelligence. We'll know more in the coming days and weeks. Also, $66 billion on passenger and freight rail. Certainly not enough for climate experts, but as Jeff Stein from the Washington Post writes, it's not nothing. So let me know what you think in the comment section below about all of this spending. A lot of this spending is on improving our railroads and our infrastructure. And President Biden actually has a long relationship with Amtrak because he has ridden Amtrak for years, I would say decades, to get to work. And in fact, President Biden said this, I quote, "You all know I have nothing but affection for Amtrak." Let's roll the tape and hear President Biden. Let's watch.
You all know I have nothing but affection for Amtrak, having traveled over 1 million miles on it, commuting every day.
And here are some other interesting comments from the president about the entire infrastructure situation. He said, I quote, "It all signals to ourselves and to the world that American democracy can deliver." He is referring to the fact that both sides have indeed struck a deal. Let's roll the tape and hear from President Biden.
This deal means millions of good-paying jobs and fewer burdens felt at the kitchen table and across the country, and safer and healthier communities. But it also signals to ourselves and to the world that American democracy can deliver. And because of that, it represents an important step forward for our country.
And in other news, the New York Supreme Court has actually suspended Trump's attorney Rudy Giuliani's New York law license over all the election shenanigans he created. Here's a headline of an article on your screen from The Hill. New York Supreme Court suspends Giuliani's law license. They suspended his license to practice law in the state of New York, and the court concluded that, I quote, "Giuliani made demonstrably false and misleading comments to courts, lawmakers, and the public when he was representing former President Trump." In a 33-page decision, the court said the seriousness of Giuliani's uncontroverted misconduct cannot be overstated. Wow, pretty incredible. And finally, folks, this is a very interesting video clip featuring the Republican governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice. He essentially goes off against the unvaccinated. He goes, I quote, "All you're doing is entering the death drawing. I don't want the chance when the wheel spins that it could come up Jim Justice." In other words, he's saying, hey, if you're not going to get vaccinated, you're endangering other people around you. So if you're around me and you're not vaccinated, you are endangering me. Let's roll the tape and hear from the Republican governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice. Let's watch.
Well, when you turn your back and say, nope, I'm not doing that, all you're doing is entering the death drawing. There were 6. There were 6 today. How many are going to be the next time we sit down? How many are going to be on next Tuesday? I'm betting it'll be 8 or 9. I mean, if I knew, and then I'll quit, if I knew for certain that there was going to be 8 or 9 people die by next Tuesday, and I could be one of them if I don't take the vaccine, what in the world do you think I would do? I mean, I would run over top of somebody because I don't want to take the chance when the wheel spins that it could come up Jim Justice. I don't want to take that chance.
And by the way, folks, West Virginia has been in focus lately because of the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Senator Joe Manchin, and also because of Senator Shelley Moore Capito, who's a Republican senator from West Virginia, who was the Republican lead negotiator, and she was the one talking with President Biden. This is where we are, everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. I want you to know I work very hard on this channel to bring you the latest news, and my goal is to help you understand the way the country works, the way the economy works, and by extension, how your money works and how you can make more money and and keep more of it in your pocket. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. That is your vote of confidence in our channel, and that really helps out our channel. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.